पावन हेतु तव अवतार मोसमापतित प्रभु ना पाबयार हा हा प्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद सुखी कृपा बालकन करो अमी बड़ो दुखी दया करो सीतापति अद्वैत गोसाई तव कृप बाले पाय चैतन्य निताय हा हा स्वरूप सनातन रूप रघुनाथ भट जुग श्री जीवा हा प्रभु लोकनाथ दया करो सीत श्री आचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास रामचंद्र संग मांगे नर दास श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे तुम बीन के दयालु जगत संसारे ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदन्तिकम् देहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपसाग्रजातं सहग्ना रघुनाथतं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहग्ना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपिशा गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी शिरादे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरोभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा. Hare Krishna. So last week we were speaking about devotional service in attachment. We're on chapter 13. So just a little brief recap. So this is again a conversation between Lord Chaitanya and Sanatan Goswami, and in the previous chapter, Lord Chaitanya had spoken about devotional service according to regulative principles. And then this part of it was to explain devotional service in terms of transcendental attachment. So the term transcendental attachment is that when we become so fixated in our devotional service, it becomes a matter of um we don't have to think about it. It's like a not just not in terms of automatic um performance of devotional service, but it's like it's more the depth and the understanding with which we do the devotional service we become attuned to. So say for example, if we're always serving Lord Krishna Bhoga, then when there is a transcendental attachment, then slowly we start being able to connect on a deeper level, and we're able to understand what Krishna might be asking us to cook for him on that particular day. So sometimes it could be that you don't know the food, or no one in your house likes the food, or it could be a specific dish, but things will just start coming into your mind automatically. And that's because we're becoming more attached, and then we'll have this energy and this enthusiasm to continuously do the service, because there is a transcendental, there's a deeper attachment. And it's when all the other things that we're doing, they lose the Maya kind of loses the grip. um and we are becoming more in tune with things that are happening in the spiritual world. So in one of the things we might do is start listening to more lectures. We engage in transcendental services more, but it's also a connection, it's a deeper insight into what Krishna is asking from us. So it's much more intuitive. It's an internal journey where it's you and Krishna. So exactly that example, when you're cooking for Krishna, then new ideas keep coming into your mind, or something, you think, oh, I better do this. So you're adding something else, which is coming internally from you. And therefore, the more we engage in accessing the transcendental kind of vibrations, the more I'm attached to it, because all the other lower things will kind of fall away automatically, and we're much more attached to serving Krishna in the way. So sometimes people hear, like when we're doing deity service, and sometimes the earring keeps falling off, or Krishna won't allow you to put a turban on in the same way, or something is happening. It's because Lord is also engaging and reciprocating, and maybe he doesn't want to wear that day, or maybe he wants to just tease us and play with us, and he wants us to try different things. But that relationship, it becomes stronger, and it, it's like an intuitive understanding develops, which is more than just following regulative principles. It's more of the internal mood that develops due to the love that we have for Lord, and then the reciprocation that starts happening, and then we kind of end up being intertwined in that relationship with the Lord. So the inhabitants of and Rajabhumis, they're examples of devotional service. So if we've been fortunate enough to meet Vrajvasis, they see Krishna everywhere. So Krishna is part of their life. Like they will see Krishna. They're like my Lala, my they're experiencing Krishna every time. In They're absolutely in tune with what's going on, and they are experiencing like Krishna being a member of the family, or Krishna being, and it's not that they're kind of just saying it, but they're experiencing it. And that is a deeper level. It's a one step up, not one step, it's a lot of steps up. It's that when we're actually experiencing Krishna in our day-to-day dealings, and they have deep attachment. And Krishna's always there. They'll always say Krishna is still here. He does never leaves Vrindavan. And they have this spirit of, they look at you, and that devotion is like literally transferred into you. So developing devotional service and attachment by following in the footsteps of Vrajvasis, this is called Raga Marga Bhakti. So we're following this raga, this mood, this mellow of this bhakti, because we want to become attached. So we want to have a relationship with the Lord, which is full of attachment, like we would become attached with any other relationship in this material world. The attachment with the Lord is naturally there because we're part and parcel of Him. So naturally, His attraction for the living entities is there. But it's also us then becoming more and more attracted to the Lord. So the fact that we're joining the sanghas, the fact that we're going to the temple, the fact that we really want to deepen our relationship with the Lord, this is showing that we're becoming more and more attached to Him and less attached to Maya. So today someone was asking me, do I watch the news? And I actually said, no, I don't. And they were like, oh, that's so weird. But actually, it doesn't interest me anymore. Maybe before it might have interested me just to find out a few things. But now it's like I would rather spend that time doing something in Krishna consciousness. And yesterday someone was saying that, we do have to engage with the material, world as we go. Most of us are working, etc. And the person said, give your heart to Krishna and devotees. Don't give your heart to those other people who you think you want something from, because that we're misdirecting our love and our affection. It's Krishna that we need to direct our love towards. So according to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ecstatic attachment for the Lord experienced in the course of devotional service that is natural for devotees is called raga, or transcendental attachment. The devotional service discharged with deep attachment and with consequent deep absorption in the object of love is called ragatmika. Examples of such devotional service can be seen in the activities of the residents of Rajabhumi. One who becomes attracted by Krishna by hearing of such attachment is certainly very fortunate. When one becomes deeply affected by devotion of the residents of Rajabhumi and tries to follow in their footsteps, he does not care for the restrictions or regulations of revealed scriptures. This is a characteristic of one discharging Raga Bhakti. So, to a certain degree and a certain point, we must follow the restrictions and the regulations until we're pure enough to be able to really follow in the steps of the Vrajvasis, and also their mood it's like I say, it's very, very, very different. They're completely absorbed in. So when we speak to Vrajvasis especially, we will notice that they're very, very, very sweet, very sincere, and Krishna is very much part of their life. So they will give us everything if they think and they know that we also are trying to follow in this path. It's very, they're always in bhav. So you can speak to any Vrajvasi and they'll be able to tell you any leela, anything that's going on, because they're able to connect with the place, with the leela, with the transcendental spiritual world. So they're they're accessing. So even if we hear about, like, say, the acharyas and saints, they're able to access, sages, they're able to access something which is not of this plane. That's why, depending on the consciousness of the person, they're experiencing completely different pastimes, and completely different leelas are appearing before them, as they engage in their devotional service. And this is called Raga Bhakti. They're actually able to see the Leela in front of them, in their eyes. So sometimes when we hear like very learned, not learned speakers, but very like very these ones with lots of taste and mellows. When Ragmik guy, that's what they're called. So rasa, the rasa rasikas they call them. So they're always in that bhav. They're always singing or they're always dancing or chanting, not in a sahaja way, but because they can actually experience what's going on in the spiritual world. So Srila Prabhupada, he actually said that if we follow the regulative principles, we do, we give our life to bhakti in this life, then even if we don't make it to the spiritual world, he will take us through the back door. It's because again, he can experience. Krishna was with Srila Prabhupada, as Srila Prabhupada wrote all these books, and the power that Srila Prabhupada had. He was in direct contact with Krishna, and he was able to exchange loving sentiment to him. And there was, he was in direct communal contact with Krishna. So devotional service with attachment is natural. So the more we do it, we don't care for any other. Even if someone says, "Oh, why are you doing this? Like, what is the point of this?" Like, to someone that's just looking from outside, it's like, "Oh, we're just offering food to a deity," or it doesn't mean anything to them. But the the proof is in the pudding. Only the person doing it, cooking it, offering it, taking that prasadam away, dealing with Krishna as if he's an absolute real person, only then that bhav grows. And then with that bhav, and then people think, oh, there's something in this. That person's always happy, or um, it's because they get the full conviction inside that this is actually giving me lots and lots of joy, and Krishna is actually reciprocating. So the proof is in the pudding. You have to try it, you have to do it. You can't just experience it without doing devotional service. The natural inclination to devotional service with attachment is also based on scriptural injunction, and thus one who has attachment for devotional service is not required to give it up simply on the strength of scriptural argument. So, bhakti and devotional service itself is higher than following any other scriptural argument. So, once we're actually in bhakti, that is the highest. There's no, we don't leave bhakti for something in the scriptures like jnana. That's not it. Bhakti leads to more and more bhakti. So when you do bhakti, it will lead to more bhakti and more bhakti and more bhakti, and we develop our quality within that mood. So we can do the same service, but we increase it, and then something new will come, something new will come. Automatically, the newness within the service will come. We don't have to like take on then karma yoga or jnana yoga or some other scriptural thing, because bhakti is the end goal, and it's the process, it's the journey, it's how we get to Krishna, and that devotional service just keeps growing and growing. So even in the spiritual world, we'll be doing devotional service, but the pleasure that we derive from it, the reciprocation, everything grows and it advances. It doesn't, like in this material world, it doesn't cease. So in this connection, we should note that the class of so-called devotees known as Prakritya Sahajas follow their own concocted ideas, representing themselves as Krishna and Radha, indulge in debauchery. Such devotional service with attachment is false, and those so engaged are actually gliding down to the hellish planet path. This is not the standard of Ragmikai Bhakti or devotional service with attachment. The Prakrit the Sahaja community is actually cheated and very unfortunate. So obviously this doesn't happen so much in these countries, but obviously we've heard so many times when Amol Prabhu has said that the last snare of Maya is that we think that we are the supreme. So that's Maya's last hold on us, that to make us believe that we are the supreme personality. And she will try her tricks, and once we don't accept that we are, and once we realize, of course, yes, we are the same as Krishna in quality, but not in quantity. And once we understand that our true position is a servant of Krishna, then we wouldn't behave in a way which depicts us to be either Radha or Krishna. So obviously, again, this is mainly when we're in India, we see that people dress that they actually think they are Radha and Krishna. Um, and their whole belief system is that they've reached that level where they become kind of one with Krishna or Radha. And they actually, this is the last part of the snare of Maya. And and then they act like they're Radha and Krishna, and they perform all these leelas. And but like I know, like in um like this they actually believe they are, and then they do, in the name of this, they do all sorts of nonsense things. And this isn't, that's not bhakti, that we behave in such a way. um Devotional service with attachment can be executed in two ways. So we spoke about last week, internally and externally. Externally, the devotee strictly follows regulative principles, beginning with chanting and hearing, while internally he thinks of the attachment which attracts him to serve the Supreme Lord. So whichever mood, so it could be Madhurya Bhav, it could be Vatsalya, um, Shantarasa, it can be um, as a servant, or it could be neutral Bhav. And when we develop that relationship with the Lord, what we're trying to do is serve Him in that manner. That so we follow in the footsteps, say, of the gopis, or we follow in the footsteps of the Vrajvasis, or we follow in the footsteps of Lord Balram, or we're following in the footsteps of these highly elevated devotees who are pure devotees of the Lord. So eventually, as we grow in our devotion, we follow in the footsteps so that we can become successful in our devotional service, because we learn from. So obviously, any of us that have done service, there's always someone that teaches us something, and we learn from them. And in the same way, someone will be helping us in the spiritual world. We will follow in the footsteps of a specific devotee that we choose to. And our relationship is our internal relationship with Krishna that we must develop. So a pure devotee discharging devotional service with attachment always follows in the footsteps of the personality of Rajabhumi. It is advised in Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu that such a pure devotee should always remember the activities of a particular inhabitant of Raja, even though he is not able to live in Raja. In this way, he can always think of Raja. So, say for example, we have an attachment to one of Krishna's one of Krishna's loved ones, and we want to follow in their footsteps. Therefore, we think about, so if it's the gopis, you would just think about the gopis and you would develop that mood. If it's a Vatsalya Bhav, you would think of Mother Yashoda, Nand Maharaj, and you would grow in that mood for the Lord. So, as it says here, such confidential devotees are divided into several categories. Some of them are servants, some are friends, some are parents, and some are conjugal lovers. In devotional service with attachment, one has to follow a particular type of devotee of Rajbhumi. And then I think we can carry on from there. So if we go in order, so if Asha Mataji, if you can read the first 5 paragraphs, then if Lekas said to Mataji, if you can read the next 5, and then Prabhavati Mataji, if you can read the next 5, and Usha Mataji, if you can read the last 5. I think Amol Prabhu is engaged in something else. So we'll start with Asha Mataji. If you could read from in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord says.
If you could kindly recite the verse,
Yeah.
Mataji.
Na kar hi chinmat para shant rupe nang shanti no me ahim ahinmiso ledhi hetihi yeshamaham priya atma sutascha sakha guru suhrido devam ishtam.
The word para is used only to refer to persons who are satisfied with the idea of becoming my adherents alone. They consider that I am their soul, I am their friend, I am their son, I am their master, I am their well wisher, I am their God, and I am their supreme goal. My dear mother, time does not act on such devotees. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.308, Rupa Goswami offers his respectful obeisances to those who always think of Krishna as son, well-wisher, brother, father, friend, and so on. Whoever whoever adheres to the principles of devotional service with attachment, following in the footsteps of a particular devotee of Brajabhumi, certainly attains the highest perfection of love of Godhead in that spirit. There are two characteristics by which the seeds of love of Godhead can develop, and these are known as rati or attachment and bhava, the condition immediately preceding love of Godhead. It is by such attachment and bhava the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is conquered by his devotees. These two characteristics are present before any symptoms of love of Godhead are manifest. This was all explained to Sanatana Goswami by Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya told him that since there is really no end to describing the system of devotional service with attachment, he is simply trying to offer a sample. Lord Chaitanya then described the ultimate goal of devotional service, which is meant for one who wants to attain perfection when one's attachment to Krishna becomes very deep. One has one has attained the condition called love of God. The devotee who attained such a state of extent is said to be his permanent situation. In this regard, Kaviraja Goswami offers his respectful obeisances to Lord Chaitanya for his sublime teachings of Lord love of Godhead, as stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 23.1. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, who but you has ever awarded such pure devotional service? O most magnanimous incarnation of the personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances to this incarnation, known as Gaura Krishna. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.3.1, love of Godhead is compared to sunshine, and this shining makes the devotee's heart more and more lovely. The heart of such a devotee is situated in a transcendental position beyond even the material mode of goodness. As the devotee's heart becomes increasingly sterilized by the sunshine of love, he attains a state called bhava. This is the description of bhava given by Rupa Goswami. Bhava is the permanent characteristic of the living entity, and the crucial point of progress of bhava is called the marginal state of love of Godhead. When the bhava, sorry, Ma, if you could kindly,
Yep.
I'm reading from the thing. State when the bhava state becomes deeper and deeper, learned devotees call it love of Godhead. As status in the Narada
Manjari.
Pancharada, uh,
Ananye mamata Vishnu, mamata prema sangata, bhaktiriti uchyate bhishma, praladodhava narada.
when one is when one is firmly convinced that Vishnu is the only object of love and worship and that there is no one else, not even a demigod, worthy of receiving devotional service, one is said to feel intimacy in his loving relationship with God. This is the conclusion of such personalities as Bhishma, Prahlada, Uttava, and Narada. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
That's it.
Krishna, thank you so much. Um, so I think it's Prabhavati Mataji. No, it's is Lekha Mataji still there? Okay, I think she's not there. So Prabhavati Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. If due to some righteous activities which provoke devotional service, one acquires some faith and takes shelter of the good association of pure devotees and is influenced by their service attitude, then he develops attachment for hearing and chanting. By developing hearing and chanting, one can advance further and further in regulated devotional service to the Supreme Lord. As one so advances, his misgiving about devotional service and his attraction to the material world proportionately diminishes. By advancing in hearing and chanting, a devotee becomes more firmly fixed in his faith. Gradually, he develops a taste for devotional service, and that taste gradually develops into attachment for Krishna. When that attachment becomes pure, it exhibits the two characteristics of bhava, emotion, and rati, affection. When rati increases, it is called love of Godhead. Love of Godhead is the ultimate goal of human life. This process is summarized by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.4.15 to 16. The first thing required is faith. Due to faith, a person associates with a pure devotee, and by such association, he develops devotional service. As devotional service develops, his misgiving diminishes. Then he is situated in firm conviction, and from that conviction, he develops a taste for devotional service and advances to the stage of attachment for Krishna, whereby he follows the regulative principles of devotional service spontaneously. After that point, he makes still further progress and attains the state called bhava, which is permanent. Such love of God becomes deeper and deeper until it reaches the higher stage of love of Godhead. In Sanskrit, the highest stage is called prema. Prema can be defined as love of God without any expectation of exchange or return. Actually, the word prema and love are not synonymous, yet one can still say that prema is the highest stage of love. One who has attained prema is the most perfect human being. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.25 to 25 confirms this statement. Only by the association of pure devotee only by the association of pure devotees can a person develop a taste for Krishna consciousness. And when he tries to apply Krishna consciousness in his life, he can achieve everything up to the stage of bhava and prema. Lord Chaitanya next described the symptom of a person who has developed from faith to the stage of bhava. Such a person is never agitated, even if there are causes for agitation. Nor does he waste his time, not even a moment. He is always anxious to do something for Krishna. Even if he has no engagements, he will find some work to do for Krishna's satisfaction. Nor does such a person like anything which is not connected with Krishna. Although he is situated in the best position, he does not hanker after praise. He is confined in his work. He is never under the impression that he is not making progress toward the supreme goal of life, going back to Godhead. Since he is fully convinced of his progress, he is always very busy achieving the highest goal. He is very much attached to gratifying the Lord and in chanting or hearing about the Lord, and he is always attached to describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord. He also wants to live in holy places like Mathura, Vrindavana, or Dwaraka. All these characteristics are visible in one who has developed to the stage of bhava. King Parikshit affords a good example. King Parikshit, sorry,
Sorry, there we go.
it's echoing Mata. Sorry. King Parikshit affords a good example of bhava when sitting on the bank of the Ganges, waiting to meet his death due to the curse of a Brahmana boy. He said, all the Brahmanas present here, as well as Mother Ganges, should know that I am a soul completely surrendered to Krishna. I do not mind if I am immediately bitten by the snake sent by the Brahmana boy. Let the snake bite me as it likes. I shall be pleased if all of you present here will go on chanting the message of Krishna. Such a devotee is always anxious to see that his time is not wasted in anything which is not connected with Krishna. Consequently, he does not like the benefits. Okay. Consequently, he does not like the benefits driven from fruitive activities, yogic meditation, or the cultivation of knowledge. He is simply attached to words favorably related to Krishna. Such pure devotees of the Supreme Lord always pray to him with tears in their eyes. Their mind always recollect his activities and their bodies always offer him obeisances. Thus they are satisfied. Any devotee who renders such devotional service dictates his life and body for the purpose of the Lord. King Bharata, after whom India is called Bharatavarsha, was also a pure devotee, and at an early age he left his household life, his beautiful devotee wife, his sons, friends, and the kingdom just as if they were stool. This is typical of a person who has developed bhava in the course of his devotional service. Such a devotee always thinks of himself as the most wretched, and his only satisfaction is in thinking that some day or the other Krishna will be kind enough to favor him by engaging him in devotional service. In the Padma Purana, another instance of pure devotee is found. There it is recorded that King Bhagirath, although the most elevated of human beings, was begging from door to door and was even praying to the Chandalas, the lowest members of human society. Am I reading further, Mataji? Another one?
Yes, Mataji, if you can read the verse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sri Sanatana Goswami later composed this verse. Let me see. Na prema Shravanadi Bhaktirapi va yogo atava Vaishnavo Jnanam va Shubha Karma va Kriyat aho Sajatirapi asti va Enartadika Sadake Tvayi Tathapi Achedya Moolasati He Gopi Janavallabha Vyatayate Haha Mad Asaiva Mam. I am poor in love of Godhead, and I have no qualification for hearing about devotional service, nor do I have any understanding of the science of devotional service, nor any cultivation of knowledge, nor any righteous activities to my credit, nor am I born in a high family. Nonetheless, O darling of the damsels of Raja, I still maintain a hope of achieving you, and this hope is always disturbing me. A devotee who is touched deeply by such a strong desire always chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mother. Hare Krishna.
Saurav Prabhu, would you be kind enough to read the rest of this?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, yes. From O Krishna, I've joined in late, so.
Yeah. So, okay,
O
so
Krishna.
maybe Usha Mataji, would you like to finish off?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Mhm.
So I'm reading from O Krishna.
So from
Oh, in
this,
this. Okay.
in this
In
regard.
the, okay, Hare Krishna. In this regards, the following verse is by Bilva Mangala appears in the Krishna Karnamrita 32. Tvakachais Chaisvamantri Bhuvanabundhakam iti avehi Makkachapalam chatva va mama vadegyayam tat kim karoni viralam murli vilasi muktam muku mukham bhujam udiksitam kasha ikshan abhyam. Sorry, Mataji, my pronunciation.
Just read the translation.
O Krishna, O flute player, the beauty of your you know the agitation of my mind, and I know what you are. No one knows how confidential our relationship is. Although my eyes are anxious to see your face, I cannot see you. Please let me know what to do. A similar passage appears in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.3.38, in which Rupa Goswami stated, Rodana Bindu Mari- Marindasyandirga Indivritya Govinda Tava Madhura Swara Kanthi Jayati Namavalimbala. O Govinda, young girl with tears in her eyes is crying in a sweet voice, chanting his glories. Such pure devotees are always anxious to describe the glories of Krishna and to live in a place where he exhibited his pastimes. A similar verse appears again in the Krishna Karnamrita 92. The body of Krishna is so nice and his face is so beautiful. Everything about him is simply sweet and fragrant. And in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.156, O lotus-eyed one, when will I be able to always chant your holy name and being inspired by the chanting? When will I be able to dance on the banks of the Yamuna? In this way, Lord Chaitanya described the symptoms of actual love of Krishna. He said that no one can understand the words, activities, or symptoms of a person who has developed love of Krishna. Even if one is very learned, it is very difficult to understand a pure devotee in the stage of love of God. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. When a person engages in devotional service in love of God, sings and sings the glories of the Supreme Lord, his heart melts. because the Lord is very dear to him. When he glorifies the Lord's name, fame, and so on, he becomes almost like an insane man. And in that condition, he sometimes laughs, sometimes cries, and sometimes dances. He continues in this way without even considering his situation. By gradually developing his love of Godhead, he increases his affection, his emotion, and his ecstasy. The culmination of such attachment is a Mahabhava, the highest stage of devotional love. It may be linked to rock candy, which is the most concentrated uh, form of sugar. As it is concentrated, sugarcane juice goes through different stages. Molasses, sugar, sugar candy, but the final and most palatable state is rock candy. Similarly, love of God can gradually develop in such a way that transcendental pleasure is increased to the highest stage for the real devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. That was so beautifully read by everybody. So there's lots of mellow and lots of bhav in this. So obviously we explained the first bits. And we spoke about how this Prakriya Sahajya mood where people are literally thinking they're Radha or Krishna, we can't follow in that because that is leading us to a hellish path, but we can follow it in a different way. And what we've outlined here is what that path is. So devotional service with attachment can be executed in two ways. So like we said before, it's internally and externally. So externally, the devotee will follow the strict regulative principles, and obviously will follow the stages of the different the different devotional services. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Atmanivedanam. So we're constantly doing that, and the more we do that and engage externally, we internally think of the attachment which attracts. Again, this is about the mood that we develop with the Lord. So if it's in Madhurya Bhav or Vatsalya Bhav, we build that relationship with the Lord. Sometimes that relationship is revealed, it just happens automatically, or sometimes the correct people come the correct devotees come, and then they teach us a specific mood or a specific mellow. But it's having that, again, it's more internal, it's having that deep connection with the Lord, from us, or from within. So some people, when they're offering prasadam, they'll be singing to the Lord. They'll be asking the Lord to take the prasad, take the bhoga, and they'll have like special way of inviting the Lord. They're constantly in absorption of the Lord, and with that, um, so even though they're following strictly, the mind is always being attached in a certain way. So we're using both our devotional service, which is the actions that we might do with our senses, our voice, our eyes, our hands. It's performed with the senses, but what we do with our mind, again, that deepens it. It deepens the relation. So if someone is just using their senses and just creating a dish for Krishna, they're just going to be doing it. They're just going to be putting the ingredients together. They're going to be putting the plate together. But when we actually start thinking like if it's like a real person, we'll understand that, okay, this is what this person's likes are, this is what this person's dislikes are. In the same way, Krishna likes things a certain way, and he reciprocates equally. Like we said, he'll sometimes will have instances in our mind where we feel like cooking something because Krishna has revealed something from within. So it's about developing that internal dialogue with Krishna. And we all have experience of, a situation where Krishna has immediately helped us, or we feel connected to him straight away. Could be through, a prayer being answered. But that is a deeper involvement with Krishna, because we're using our mind. It's not just our senses that we're engaging. It's not just our body that we're engaging, but we're engaging something which is much more subtler, which is the mind. And we're using our emotions and our mind in a way to absorb ourselves in that deeper connection with Krishna. So again, we can speak about the Vrajbhumis, the Vrajvasis. They're very, very dear to Krishna. And the devotee selects one of them and follows in the footsteps in order to be successful. So, like I say, lots of Rajvasis, they will say, "Oh, my Kana's here," or they're seeing Krishna all the time. They're not separate from Krishna, and their vision is very, very different. Their consciousness is very, very different, because they're engaging much more with the transcendental service of the Lord. And every action of theirs, it's for Krishna. And when you live amongst them, you'll understand like how our, especially mine consciousness is so different to their consciousness, which is always and always aimed at pleasing the Lord. And so these people, you'll notice that they're always in deep, deep absorption of Krishna and their relationship. So it's about connecting with a particular person and with a particular mood in Rajapumi. So the confidential devotees are divided into several categories. So obviously we spoke about these: servants, friends, parents, conjugal lovers. So from servants, like within Krishna Lila, we could understand that to be just maybe neutral servants that Krishna was used to having around him. His friends, Madhumangal, Sridama, they're all in this mood. His parents, obviously, Mother Yashoda, Nand Baba, and Queen Devki, and King Vasudev. And then obviously the gopis of Vrindavan, his wives. The mood is of conjugal love. So it's about following in the footsteps of these devotees. So obviously, being in Srila Prabhupada's lineage, we're always told that we are Rupanugas and we're following Rupa Manjari in the spiritual world through our service for our Guru Maharaj. So they're also following in the footsteps of conjugal lovers, and we're then serving them. So in Vaishnavism, it's das anudas anudas. So we're following in the footsteps, and we're being the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And now one may ask, well, Krishna, why do we have to do all the service? And it's because actually in the spiritual world, because Krishna is in the center of all activity, we are getting more pleasure from serving Krishna than he is, and therefore we understand that that's why he took on this avatar, in which he took on the persona of his topmost devotee, Srimati Radharani, because he wants to understand what it's like to love him. He doesn't understand that bit. He's God. He understands everything. He's Atmaram. He doesn't need anything, but he actually wants to know why do everybody love me so much? What is it about me that everybody loves so much? And he goes into he understands that from his topmost devotee. And when we hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, especially his Jagannath leelas during the end part of his appearance, he's he's completely absorbed in that bhav, like when he's running after the Rath Yatra, or it's like he's in Radharani's bhav. That bhav becomes very, very apparent, and he's chasing the Rath, because it's like a explosion of all the bhavs. Like you have Jagannath on the Rath, and then you have like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Radharani, and this, it's like an explosion of all the different mellows all coming together. um so Lord is also experiencing this deep bhav for himself. So essentially he's understanding what Radharani feels. So such confidential devotees are divided, so we've just spoke about that. And here Lord is also he's paying obeisance. Rupa Goswami's offering obeisances in as one always thinks of a particular mood, as his son, his well-wisher, his friend, his father, so on. And in that way they develop this loving relationship with Krishna. But going back to that, they still adhere to the principles of devotional service with attachment. And so if they're following, say for example, the footsteps of Nand Maharaj, then they will see Krishna as their son, and in that mood they will serve him. So there are two characteristics by which the seeds of love of Godhead can develop. So one of the ways is rati, which is called attachment. So this is having attachment for the Lord, and bhava, the condition immediately preceding love of Godhead. So once this love is being developed, so imagine in like the simple sense, we meet somebody, we love them. After that condition, something more increases. It's like maybe it's a deeper kind of love, and it's a bhava. And in such attachment and bhava, the Supreme Lord Krishna is conquered by his devotees. So it's this bhav that conquers the Lord. So when we pass this condition of just love, there's this state we come into where we're in a place of we're in a place of something which is different. It's like when we sometimes swear at Krishna, or when we talk to Krishna, or we it's deeper. It's like when we converse with him, when all we kind of, the only thing in our existence is just him. That's when our bhava is deepening. And sometimes this, we can see it through dance. People get very ecstatic during dance. It's generally because the bhav, or through singing, dancing. It could be through tears. The, this is These are symptoms. Shivering. These are all said in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That these are symptoms actually of bhav, and feeling that deeper connection to Krishna in the spiritual skies. And like we said, there's no end to describing devotional service with this attachment. It's just a sample. Devotional service, unlike material condition, is continuous, it's new, it's always changing, it's ever fresh. We don't become bored of it. We don't like feel like, okay, I say for example, we were going to visit a country. Like once you visit it, you don't think about going back there. You think, okay, well, I've done it now, I'll go to somewhere different next time. But in devotional service, it's not like that. We can continuously, forever and ever and ever, serve Krishna, in the newest ways, in the most beautiful ways, and experiencing the best relationship without getting bored or feeling like we've done this, because everything is always new. It's like when we see Krishna in the temple, we just think, oh, Krishna, could you look any more beautiful than you do today? And then you see him like the next day and he looks even more beautiful. It's like that. He just continuously grows. It's not like, okay, well, it's once is done, and that's why we can keep chanting the holy name and never get bored. We're just repeating the same 16 words over and over and over and over and over again, but we never get bored. In fact, we get more energized and we feel happier. So therefore, that just goes to show that devotional service has no limits. It's forever growing and it's forever fresh. So the ultimate goal of devotional life, and if someone wants to attain perfection, is that when attachment to Krishna becomes very deep, one has attained the condition of love of Godhead. So again, this is about the depth of our love. This is about the path. This is about growing, not externally only, but internally. How is our path? And it's about having those serious conversations with ourselves, and just actually noticing that, how deep can we go into dialogue with Krishna? How, if we're surrendered to Krishna, are we always going to Krishna, or are we still using our minds to solve our problems? Because if we offer them to Krishna, he will actually probably give us a better solution. So it says, the devotee who attains such a state of existence said to be in his permanent situation. So sometimes in India, like, people are just completely absorbed in their meditation in the spirit, and that they're able to just focus on attending that extreme pleasure of being able to connect to the spiritual world. And then we're sort of told that this mood that we develop, it actually comes from Lord Chaitanya himself. So even this mood, when we worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it comes from him. So, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, who but you has ever awarded such pure devotional service? O magnanimous incarnation of the Personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances to you in this incarnation known as Gaura Krishna. So he's so gentle with people, he's so kind, he's so merciful. And when he comes, or his representatives come, like Nityananda Prabhu or Gadadhar Pandit, they're able to actually give us this love. They're just, even by looking at us, they can transfer that love into us. So they say that you need a devotee and another devotee to fan your devotion and to spark that interest right back into you. In Bhakti's Rasamrita Sindhu, love of Godhead is compared to sunshine, and the shining makes the devotee's heart more and more lovely. So if we say that the Lord is the sunshine, and that the shining that the devotee goes for is making that heart of that devotee more and more and more susceptible to the devotional path. And this path is beyond the mode of material goodness. It's bigger than just being a good person, just being peaceful, forgiving, all those qualities in goodness that we talk about, where they are important, of course. But the devotee, once his heart becomes increasingly sterilized by the sunshine of love, he attains a state called bhava. This is the description of bhava given by Rupa Goswami. Bhava is the permanent characteristic of the living entity, And the crucial point of progress for bhava is called marginal state, love of Godhead. When the bhava state becomes deeper and deeper, learned devotees call it love of God. So, like for example, Narad Muni, he's always constantly chanting the names of the Lord. He's in that bhav all the time. He's in that mellow, um, and and he has love, and that's exactly what we need to do. It's not always about doing the external actions, but it's the mood we do them in, and it's about finding that internal bhava, and then meeting people that have a very rasika kind of bhav, and they're able to pass that on, and we also get the potency of that and the love of that. But Srila Prabhupada did say, work now, rest later kind of thing, um and so yeah, we do have to balance it with the regulative principles, etc. When one is firmly convinced that Vishnu is the only object of love and worship, that there is no one else, not even a demigod, worthy of receiving devotional service, one is said to feel intimacy in this loving relationship with God. This is the conclusion of such personalities as Bhishma, Prahlad, Uddhava, and Narada. So, once we become very, very fixed, it's actually only Krishna that we can actually love and offer devotional service to. Even all the demigods, we go to them for material benefit, or to take us away from distress, or to remove our obstacles, or to give us wealth, or whatever it is. We worship them for a reason. But Krishna is so kind. He gives us the opportunity to love him. And that's big. I mean, he's actually showing us that it's him that love needs to be directed towards. And we'll speak about Uddhava in a moment. So Bhishma Dev is one of the Mahajans. He's the grandfather of Arjuna, and he has this very deep relationship. Like during in during the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Bhishma Dev, when Lord picked up his the wheel from the Rath to you know to 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 kind of chase Bhishma Dev with, Bhishma Dev only saw Krishna as his lover. He witnessed this beautiful relationship between Krishna and Arjuna, and he said something along the lines of, just like a lover chases wildly, um, in the same way he's seeing the Lord of the gopis, and he's he's seeing that more as a loving um exchange, um because he's in that absorption of the Lord. Prahlad, he always had Lord deeply ingrained in his essence, and he felt that relationship with Lord, and Lord was very kind to him. He appeared to him as Nrsingadev, and gave him these benedictions, because Prahlad only wanted the worship of the Lord anyway. Um, so Lord did a lot, he reciprocated to him, because this love was there, this intimate relationship was there. Uddhava, Krishna's cousin brother, he's very similar in terms of his physical and his status. And Uddhava is, so as we hear Krishna says the Bhagavad Gita on the battle of Kurukshetra to Arjuna, Uddhava is who he leaves the Uddhav Gita with, which is the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And again, these personalities have deep love for Krishna. So Uddhava started off in Jnana Yoga, but after meeting the residents of Vrindavan, and especially the gopis, he realized that is not the way to, Jnana is not the way to love Lord, but it's through this deep Vipralamba Bhav, through this deep separation the gopis were feeling. He actually understood a little bit about what love is. And again, it's this intimate relationship. So, Lord has singled out Uddhava for him to share the teachings, and that's what we can understand from that, again, that development of a loving relationship with the Lord. And Narada, obviously, he was given all sorts of benedictions. He was the son of a maidservant, and essentially he could have done whatever he wanted, but Narada said no. He kept his loving relationship with the Lord completely fixed. And again, this shows this Lord being the object of love, because he goes from place to place, singing the glories of the Lord. So this is one pointed kind of bhakti, and he brings, like he brought all these other personalities, Narad Muni, he brought Lord Brahma, he brought uh, uh, Parikshit Maharaj, Prahlad, um, Dhruv Maharaj. He brought them all closer to Krishna, because his devotion, and Sukadev Goswami also, because his devotion is deep. He's got that. Again, if he looks at you, he interacts with you. When we're engaging in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, where we're connecting with Narad Muni, and we get those blessings, and we're able to feel that intimacy with the Lord in a deeper way. So if due to some righteous activities which provoke devotional service, one acquires faith, so Shraddha is very important. Like a science experiment, you need to have a hypothesis. It can't just run without, there being a hypothesis. In the same way, anything we do in to develop our devotional service, we have to have some faith. We have to take a good association of pure devotees, and we have to be influenced. So we take on the good, the service attitude, this attitude of service and sacrifice, and being selfless. We develop those within the association of pure devotees, because we're serving them, etc. But also, this word of Shraddha, it must be there. It's the cornerstone of everything. Without the Shraddha, we won't be able to do anything in life, whether it's material or spiritual. So we have to have this deep burning Shraddha, this deep, deep burning faith. And it also talks about chanting and hearing. One can further in regulative devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So it's about the intensity of the chanting. It's about making the rounds are done, but just how deep you are within the chanting. So as one advances, his misgivings about devotional service and his attraction to the material world proportionately diminishes. So we know this, that when we take up the spiritual life, so say, for example, all of us today, we could have been watching the news, we could have been reading the newspaper, we could have been doing 110 things, but no, we're listening about Krishna Gatha, we're listening online, and therefore what has happened is that us doing lots and lots of devotional service has meant that the lower tastes have just kind of disappeared on their own accord. We didn't have to actually do anything about them. All we have to do is increase our devotion. So by advancing in hearing and chanting, the devotee becomes more firmly fixed in his faith. Gradually, he develops taste for devotional service, and the taste gradually develops into attachment. So first, obviously, the service is there, then we're developing faith, and gradually this devotional service and this attachment, so even behind the devotional service, this attachment for the Lord is there, that Krishna, you are mine, and Krishna, I am yours. This attachment, this greed, this lalasya, this wanting Krishna to be ours and wanting to be his. We must develop that mood that he is ours and we are his, and through that process the surrender will happen. So obviously here again, clearly the association of pure devotees is being, whether it's Bhagavata or a Mahabhagavat, or uh, when we meet a pure devotee, and if one is like, passing through temples or whatever, or a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, by engaging in his books, we're coming into contact with the author, we're coming into contact with Krishna and all his devotees. So once we connect, especially to the literature, especially to Bhagavatam and CC, we can see that we must really act in a place of faith, and we must take on board the good association that we've been given. And that we can always develop, and then through this bhava, it's permanent. Deeper and deeper stages of bhava are regularly noticed in the practitioner, and they just become more and more deeper. So sometimes we see people, they're very quiet, but they're able to go deep, deep, deep into the mellow of the of the spiritual world, and bring that relationship with the Lord to life through this stage of bhava, where they're in a more transcendental state, and they're able to just deepen their devotion to the Lord. Sanskrit, the highest stage is called prema. Prema can be defined as love of God without any expectation of exchange or return. So again, this is like the Vrajvasis again. Krishna left them essentially when he went to Mathura, and they just used to cry. They never used to ask for anything. They just used to cry because their love had been given. They had given everything that was of theirs to Krishna. There wasn't anything left, and they didn't expect that Krishna would be back. They didn't have any expectations of Krishna after that, really. Of course they wanted to see him, and of course they wanted to bring him back, and they're always lamenting for him. But essentially, their love was very pure. It was whatever makes Krishna happy. And that is a meditation that we can all kind of work on. That it's easy to talk about our own thing or whatever. But actually, we need to put Krishna in the center. And we've obviously heard the story where Narad Muni, when Krishna's not well, and the gopis actually give their foot dust, even though there's going to be repercussions for that. They don't care about anything else. They just care about Krishna. And this is a deeper prem. When we love somebody, it's not about just taking, it's about giving. And through this action of giving prema, it's actually the love actually comes through us to give to somebody else, to say if it's a person. But in this case, we're giving that prema, that love to Lord. Without anything in return. We're just doing it because we love him. If we love somebody, then there's no business transaction. We're just doing it. It's just something we do. And prema is the highest. And then Lord Chaitanya next describes the symptoms of a person who's developed from faith to the stage of bhava. Such a person is never agitated, even if there are causes for agitation, nor does he waste his time, not even a moment. He's always anxious to do something for Krishna. Even if he has no engagement, he will find some work to do for Krishna's satisfaction. Nor does a person like anything which is not connected with Krishna. So once we become deep into this mood, it's just Krishna. The other things just disturb us, really. And anything that's not connected to Krishna, we kind of want to just leave. And everything ends, everything goes back into this. So even if we're working, it's with the goal that we're gonna progress on into going back into Godhead, and we're fully convinced of our progress. So whatever we're doing, we actually understand that it's in this action of actually gratifying the Lord, by chanting and hearing about him and describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord. that we can please him. By staying in the dhams, we can please him. And once we start staying in these dhams, it's an actual indication that we have developed the stage of bhava. King Parikshit affords a good example of bhava when sitting on the bank of the Ganges waiting to meet his death due to the curse of the Brahmana. So we all know that he was cursed by Shringi, and he was going to be bitten, but he was in high bhav. He just left everything and he surrendered completely on the mother Ganges, and he was bitten immediately. But before that, he had heard all the Bhagavatam, and and he was in bhav. He was in this state, like, okay, now it's my turn. I'm going, and he's showing us actually that during those times he was lucky that he had the 7 days. He knew what was happening. He was able to engage in listening about Krishna, and just he shows us how to be successful at the last moments and not waste time, not being connected by anything that isn't Krishna conscious. We just are favorable to our Lord, to Krishna. So obviously, again, King Bharata, we've spoken about him before. He's who India is called after. He's also a pure devotee. He left his household at an early age, but sadly, he became attracted to a deer, and then he became a deer. Then he lived around near an ashram. Then he became Jada Bharat, and then he was taken by some dacoits, and they wanted to kill him and offer his kind of his bali. They wanted to offer him to Mother Kali, but when he started chanting for Lord to save him, Mother Kali actually killed the dacoits, because she is also a protector of Lord's devotees. And again, this is bhav. And King Bhagirath was also a great grandfather of Lord Ram. And then there's this beautiful prayer. I am poor in love of Godhead. I have no qualification for hearing about devotional service, nor do I have any understanding of the science. So again, this humility, or knowledge, nor righteousness, nor is there a high birth. But this prayer is to the damsels of Raja. They just this wanting them is a deeply strong desire to build that connection to the Lord through chanting in the same way that the gopis do in Vrindavan. Bilva Mangal Thakur, he's again he sees this vision of Krishna, O flute player, and again he's anxious to have audience of the Lord. And these are deeper prayers in which the bhav it's becoming deeper and deeper. And then Krishna also reciprocating. In this way, Lord Chaitanya described to Sanatana Goswami the symptoms of bhava stage. Lord Chaitanya next described the simples of actual love for Krishna. He said that no one can understand the words, activities, or symptoms of a person who has developed love for Krishna. Even if one is very learned, and it's very difficult to understand a pure devotee in the stage of love of Godhead. This is confirmed in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So exactly in this way, sometimes he sings, sometimes he laughs, sometimes he cries, sometimes he dances. And this is the symptoms that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us, especially as his bhava grew, his mood grew, and he's teaching us how to be a devotee. But these are things that automatically happen and come. The culmination of such attachment is mahabhava. So through this real churning, this bhava, the highest side of that is mahabhava. So it's even sweeter than bhav. it's the hardest. It's it's a very concentrated, it's likened to it's the highest stage of devotional service. It's likened to rock candy. It's the concentrated form of sugar. So again, it's talking about the sweetness of devotional service and just being in that bhava, that mahabhava, where we see sometimes people are just very gregarious, very, very happy. They're trying to they're constantly in connection with Lord Chaitanya or Krishna, and through this sweetness, the relationship is unfolding. So similarly, love of Godhead can gradually develop in such a way that transcendental pleasure is increased to the highest stage for the real devotee. So again, like I say, when we're serving Krishna, as that grows and grows and grows, we just want to do more and more and more, because we want to achieve that deeper pleasure. That the main pleasure is that the moment we're going to see Krishna, or we're going to engage with him, or that bhav that we feel, or just the interactions, the separation, the coming together, um and then the separation again, and it's this whole bhav, and it's an internal mood where the soul is really connecting to a deeper aspect of bhakti, and the bhakti is growing inside them. So they might be just doing the same things externally, chanting this, that, and the other, but actually the internal is changing, and then the connection there is becoming stronger and stronger to the Lord, and to this place where our emotions, once we experience Krishna, there's coming back into this type of world, it feels like nothing. He gives us glimpses of his spiritual world because he wants to attract us there, but ultimately we do have to develop these stages, these bhavas of love, and we have to keep on increasing it. It's anyabhilashita shunyam, is unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service to the Lord. That's what we'll be doing in the devotional world, and we will be feeling huge amounts of pleasure. And we should always keep that, not because it's going to give us pleasure, but because it's going to give pleasure to the Lord, who we want to make happy. Through service to him and through sacrifice and however we do it, we want to please the Lord, and it's for his glorification, as opposed to anything that we are doing. Okay, with that, I'm going to end there. Are there any questions? Any questions? Okay, so with that, Usha Mataji and Asha Mataji, would you be kind enough to do the Nishingadev, please?
Okay, Mataji.
Haribo.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
I will follow Usha Mataji.
Yep, okay. So Usha Mataji, if you start.
Okay, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Prahlādayini.
Prahlādayini.
Hiranyakashikurvakshaha.
Hiranyakashikurvakshaha.
Srilachakanakayi.
Sivadanganakalayi.
Ito Narasimho Parato Narasimho.
Ido Narasimho Parado Narasimho.
yato yato yamitato nasimho
Yato yato yamidato narashimo.
Bhave Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha
Bahir Narsinga Hridaye Narsinga.
Narsimha Sharanam Prapade
Narasingamadim Sharanam Prabhati.
Ravakara Tamalavare Vatuta Shrita Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadrita Nagarirupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare
Tava Karakamalavaре Nakam Adbuddha Shringam Dalidadanyakashibu Tanubringam Keshavadrida Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare
Keshavrita Nagari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare
Keshavadrida Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare
Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev
Jaya Narasimhadev Jaya Narasimhadev Jaya Narasimhadev Jaya Narasimhadev
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol
Krishna Srigadev Bhagwan की
Jai,
Jai
भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की
Jai
Jai,
जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की
Ki
Jai
Jai.
हरि गो प्रेमानंदे
Hari Hari
Hari Hari
Bol.
हरि बोल
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे
Hare
कृष्णा
All glories to the assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna
All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
श्री गौरंग हरि बोल
Hare Bol
थैंक यू राधा
Vanchakal.
सहिता माता जी
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. Vanchakalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhupa evaya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Can we all do loud Hari Bols to Radha Sekar Mataji, please?
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Mataji, for kindly taking this session. Though it's taking and speaking Krishna Katha, I'm just hearing only, but we're engaging in other work as well. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So beautiful reading about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to everybody for just, because you can only speak when people is there that understand, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Bol.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.